How's it going, guys? It's K Cars, and in this video we're going to be testing out the brand new tires that I finally got installed on my 2016 Dodge Challenger ScatPack. So right here we have the new tires installed. These are Michelin Pilot Sport AS3s. These are 275 40/20, and obviously they're a huge upgrade from the stock 245s that came on this thing 5 years ago. Believe it or not, I did get this thing in 2016. I've been driving on the stock tires that it came with literally up until like last week, so I was definitely due for an upgrade. And whenever I took this thing to get the inspection, it actually failed for tires, so I finally had an excuse to actually get these new tires. So before we actually head to Mexico and test out how these things perform, I wanted to go ahead and talk about them first. As you guys all probably know, tires are pretty expensive, so I wasn't really looking to get something that would last me like a year. I wanted to get something that would last me a comparable amount to the stock tires, but actually have like a lot more grip, like these things. So that's the whole reason why I went with the all seasons instead of any kind of summer tires. It's just because I don't do any kind of serious racing, and I also wanted them to last longer. Another reason is that summer tires or performance tires are also a little bit more expensive than these all seasons. These are also performance tires, they're just all seasons, so they're just not as soft as the summer tires. But of course the advantage is that they're going to last longer. So let's go ahead in the back here and show you guys what they actually look like from the width. So yeah, I mean, just visually they do stick out quite a bit from the wheel. So yeah, it is a visual difference as well, comparing it to the stock 245s that it had. So if we look at it over here, you can see that the actual sidewall sticks out from the wheel just a little bit more. So it kind of gives it that like concave effect from the tire, because it's, if you guys can see that right there, it kind of sticks out a little bit. But I know a big like question that goes on in the Challenger and Charger community is, what is the widest size tire that you can fit on the stock wheels? So in my case, the ScatPack came with 20x9 stock, so 9 inches wide, and the dealership actually does not recommend going with 275s. The widest size tire that the dealership recommended to me was actually a 265, so a little bit wider than recommended. But whenever I looked on Michelin's website, their wheel range, like the width range for these exact tires, was 9 to 11 inches. So these wheels right here are at the bottom of that range. According to Michelin, these should work just fine. I did get 275s on all 4 corners, and the reason for that is because, you know, I wanted them to last longer. So by doing 275s all around, I can get them rotated and just get more life out of them, as opposed to doing 275s on the rear and keeping 245s on the front. Now, if I were to get like drag radials, then yes, I probably would do a different setup with the wider drag radials up front and then the skinnier, you know, street tires up front. I think that would make a little bit more sense. So back whenever I had the stock 245 tires on this thing, I did a few racing videos where I did like a 3rd gear launch from a roll, of course, and I was starting at a very low RPM, and a lot of people were commenting saying, you know, you don't know how to roll race, you don't know how to launch that thing. And that's completely understandable, because I was launching from an extremely low RPM for the speed that I was going. I should have been launching in 2nd gear instead of 3rd, because I was going like 30 to 40 miles an hour. The reason for that is simply just traction. With those tires, I wasn't able to do a proper 2nd gear launch. If I did want to do a 2nd gear launch, I would have to roll into it extremely slow, and by doing that, it would just delay my launch. So it made more sense for me to just start in 3rd gear, because starting in 3rd gear, I could give it full power right away instead of having to wait and roll into it really slow. Starting in 3rd gear, even if the RPMs were too low, made it quicker than starting in 2nd gear, having to roll into it very slowly. So that's kind of my explanation for that. I know a lot of you guys were wondering why I was doing that, so that's the explanation for that. And now let's head to Mexico and see how these tires actually perform. Yeah, so I mean, just doing that under that bridge, it sounded insane, but it also hooked up, which is what we're here to test out today. So yeah, I mean, I can never get enough of that exhaust sound, because this thing sounds absolutely insane. Even if it's just like light throttle use, like you wouldn't expect it to be this loud. Obviously it sounds a lot louder from the outside of the car. Whenever I was getting this thing inspected, I went outside just to hear how it sounded like whenever the guy drove it inside the garage, because I'm not used to actually hearing it from the outside, and it was so much different. Like, just driving it right now, you wouldn't expect it to be that loud, because there really isn't much drone, as you guys can probably hear. Like, you don't hear the drone in this car. The only time there's drone in this car is if you're in like 8th gear and you're like accelerating up a hill going highway speeds. But even right now, that's exactly what I'm doing. And you know, there's really not much drone. There's just barely a little bit. So I really have no complaints with that. Alright, so as you guys saw there, I was in 2nd gear doing 40, and I could basically just punch it straight from, you know, straight from 2nd gear, and it didn't spin at all. So I'd say that's pretty good. Even though these are all seasons, they're not even like drag radials or summer tires. I believe the tread wear on these is like 500. So I mean, even for all seasons, I'd say that's pretty good. You know, like no spin at all. So 2nd gear roll, they hook up perfectly. And of course the road is dry, so obviously that helps. If it was wet, they wouldn't be hooking up like that, but you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff if it's wet outside anyway. So I'd say that's a pretty good test, and I definitely do like these tires a lot. So if you guys are looking for like all-season tires, but you still want to have like that performance, or you know, the right size tire for a Challenger or a Charger, I would definitely recommend going with these Michelin Pilot Sport AS3s is what they're called, and the size of these is 275/40/20. So like I said, they hook up really good from 2nd gear. Yeah, so I mean, right there again, you guys saw no problems at all hooking up. 2nd gear 40 roll. It's too much fun doing that. But anyways, before I got these tires, whenever I was on the stock ones, the stock 245s, like I said, I could only do a 3rd gear roll from those tires. And I know a lot of you guys were commenting that, you know, I don't know how to roll raise and stuff like that. And I completely understand why people were saying that. It's because the RPMs were way too low for a 3rd gear roll like that. I was doing a 40 roll at like in 3rd gear, which is way too low of an RPM to be starting like that. I know what you guys are probably thinking, how does it launch from a dig? Well, I can say I did dig launch this thing one time. I'm probably not going to do it on camera right now because there's too much traffic around here. I'm not going to stop anywhere on this road. But I did launch it from a dig one time, whenever the road was just drying up from a rainstorm that we had. The roads were a little bit dry, but still barely a little bit damp. So whenever I did that, it wasn't like a very accurate test of a dig launch. But anyways, what happened whenever I did that was it started to hook up, like it wanted to hook up, but after the first few spins, like I heard the tire squeaking a little bit and squealing, and it felt like it wanted to keep up with traction, but then it just broke loose automatically. So it would probably be like a different result if I tried that today on a day where it's completely sunny and it didn't rain today at all and the roads are completely dry. I'm guessing it probably would have hooked up pretty well. Maybe just from the beginning it would have spun just a little bit, but it definitely would have been a whole lot better than before on the stock tires, of course. So I'm not going to do a dig launch in this video, but I told you guys how it went whenever I tried to do a launch a few days ago on these same tires. So I mean, that just shows you, even with the roads a little bit damp, you can still do a pull with this thing. And I did a few 2nd gear rolls whenever, that same day where I tried out the dig launch, I tried out a 2nd gear roll as well, and it hooked up perfectly fine, like no spinning at all, even with the roads damp. So that shows you how good these all seasons really are from Michelin. So Like I said, I highly recommend these tires if you're looking for an upgrade from your stock tires, if you have 245s on your Challenger or Charger, because I really don't think these cars should have came with that size of a tire stock. I'm thinking maybe for the ScatPacks they should have put on 275 stock, and then for the Hellcats they probably should have done like 305s, because I've heard a lot of people saying that the 275s were too skinny for the Hellcats, which is completely understandable. A lot more horsepower than the ScatPacks. So yeah, I mean, that's how I think it should have been done, but I guess it leaves us room for improvement and, you know, upgrading the cars. So it's all part of the fun, upgrading, but you know, they also cost a lot of money. These tires that I have were $1,800 in total for all four, including all the shipping and taxes and all that. So definitely expensive tires, but I think they were definitely worth it, and I needed an upgrade anyways because it failed inspection for tires. So, and I don't even drive this thing that hard, like in the city, or if I'm like around cars like this, I just drive like a grandma. You know, I drive the speed limit. I don't accelerate that fast. I accelerate slow, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun to just have a car that has so much potential, but you're not unleashing it until you like actually can. Like, I know a lot of people say it's good to have a car with less power because then you can unleash all the power that it has on like regular roads, and it's a lot more fun to do that. And I agree with that as well. I think it's a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun to have a car that you can unleash anywhere you want, like a Miata, for example, or maybe a BRZ. I know those cars are a lot of fun, especially since they're manual. But I also think it's pretty cool to have a car that you can't unleash everywhere and just have so much potential and not even be able to like unleash it until you have a straight road like this without any cars. So I don't know, I think it's all part of the fun, just being like, just having so much potential in a car, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. So there you have it, guys. Like I said, huge improvement over the stock tires. Second gear roll, no problem. Big launch, spun a little bit, but it's still doable. First gear roll, I haven't tried that, but it's probably gonna spin just a little bit. But yeah, huge improvement over stock. Once again, Michelin Pilot Sport AS3 275 4020 for about $1,800 on summitracing.com. So yeah, highly recommend these tires if you're looking for an all-season upgrade for your Challenger or Charger over the stock 245s. And if you guys have any questions or video suggestions for videos you would like to see in the future, make sure to drop those down in the comments below. And if you guys like this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.